Division of Corrections since 1996 as lead supervisor in a 360-bed therapeutic community housing unit. Gwen and her David are also the co-founder marketing firm founded in 2014 and is headquartered in the Memphis, Tennessee area. The Unleashed Voice consists of the Unleashed Voice magazine, the Unleashed Voice radio show. The Relationships Unleashed is a 501c3 non-for-profit organization. The mission of the Unleashed Voice is to use the 3E core principles of print and radio media for the international disruptive principles towards student status quo. TUV promotes educational enrichment and society portrays to be used. The media entities serve as a vehicle outlet that allows Black LGBT media. Relationships Unleashed is used to provide educational programs to combat the systemic issues facing the Black LGBT community, primarily in the southern region of the U.S. Gwendolyn is married to Rashonda M. Campbell Clemons, a lover of motivational videos and positive energy, and an elder-elect at the Cathedral of Praise Church in Memphis, Tennessee. Our mantra is, I am unleashed, because the restraints must be removed from our thinking before we can progress. At this time, you guys, I'm going to turn it over to our guest speaker, the Gwendolyn Q. Clemons.
Stop sharing screen.
Pause share.
It'll stop.
You got it. 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 Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone? Good morning. Good morning. So, I just want to say thank you to Sister Reach for inviting me into this space today and allowing me to be a part of the conversation or to spearhead the conversation. Especially on this particular topic here today. This is something that I'm very passionate about, and this is something that I've been fortunate to line up and do my work. So today, I just wanted to open up the door to allow some conversation for us, to have honest dialogue for us to speak our truth, and hopefully, if not, find our truth. And if you don't, we want you to hold that space for somebody else who is in there. And, we just want to bear witness that today about things, I will be the first to admit I'm not a race scholar, but I do study a lot. And I have a lot of life experience and lived experience on topics and subjects. And I'm very out front on things that affect me personally as a woman. So today, I just want to say that I am a black woman first. I'm a black woman first, and I'm also a mother. I'm a sister, I'm a wife. And lastly, my sexuality should not come into play, but unfortunately, in our society, it does. And I am a lesbian. And I'm out front, and I'm proud of who I am and the work that I do. And I know that my work is a gift and it's a blessing. I just want to say that Lena Waite won the Emmy this past week for her role and her portrayal in her Netflix second Thanksgiving. This episode where she featured coming out to her mom, and she won an Emmy for this particular episode. And I found it real striking that it's always a role that black women tend to be awarded when the issue is surrounded around something of that nature. It's kind of like with Halle Berry when she won, and the type of a role that she had to play, but that seems to be interesting. It seemed to trigger something in mainstream media that, you know, this is who we are regulated to be, and I think we're much bigger than that. But I just want to pay homage to her because she spoke her truth in front of millions of people, and that was a big moment and monumental moment, especially for a black lesbian to stand there and to bring in the LGBTQIA family on that platform and not be ashamed and receive one of the highest awards in her context and her field. So I just want to start out with a quote today from the late Audre Lorde. You can't leave her out of this conversation because she left a legacy, and she left behind so much work and material for us to pull from and to use right now today, and to gain momentum and to hopefully build off the work that she's done so it's not in vain. So Audre Lorde has this quote that says that it's no such thing as a single issue. And when we struggle because we do not live single issue lives. I just want you all to give me some feedback today about what I just said. There's no such thing as a single issue when we struggle because we do not live single issue lives. Anybody want to chime in on that?
I guess I want to chime in and say that's really important with the work that we do with reproductive justice, because we look at intersectionality and how different intersections as far as the things that we go through, like our race and, you know, our communities and our lack of resources all play a part in that. And so I agree on to help with the work that we do. We have to be able to look at the lens and bring in other issues as we go forth and really advocate on behalf of communities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Londa. And until I identify myself, then there is no separation between us. But the moment that I do identify myself as being a lesbian, immediately separation comes into play. And what we have to understand is just because we're different, it does not warrant us being separate. Or because we're different, it does not equate some type of unequal balance in who we are as a people. And the first thing, and the issues and the things that we face in the world, some of them are singled out against the LGBTQ community, but nowhere does it say it's black. And most of the things when it affects black people is generally identified as those issues. And in this world and in this climate that we're in, we have to learn to be one. And we have to learn how to invite each other into the space because we have enough things that we fight about with already in place, as London mentioned, with her legislation and her role in the things that she go out and fight for to give the marginalized. We're all marginalized. No matter how much we progress, the one thing that we can't change about ourselves is the color of our skin. And at the end of the day, we're black. And so we have to work on these things. And in the conversation on cisgender issues and, you know, women of color, we face unique challenges all the time. So as I said earlier when I introduced myself, that I am a mother. I have a son. And I understand I was a single mother. So that adds me another element on top of my sexuality and the things that I face. So, you know, I always speak out when I'm in this environment and to try to challenge my heterosexual sisters about what is the issue that we can't seem to bridge this gap between black gay women and black straight women. One of the things that's a stronghold on it, and today I want to ask you why and what it is, and I'll challenge some of our belief systems and the things that we are the foundation of how we operate in our paradigm and in our world. And so I want to offer you the opportunity to share some experiences or an opportunity to ask me some questions about things that I face or barriers that I face, so that you can become empathetic and understand the world that I live in, and how while we try to migrate out or into certain spaces, it seems that it's not welcome, especially in the South. And so I just want the opportunity to have some conversation or some dialogue to open up the door, open up the floor. Maybe it was something that you've never asked, or maybe something that you want to know. And then so we can kind of steer this conversation into the direction that it needs to go in. So the floor is open. Jakara, talk to me. Let me unmute you. Good morning. How are you?
A question that I would have said. I'm fine. How are you?
Hey, Mildred. I'm fine.
So what are some things that you think, what are some issues that you think,
No. You have it.
okay. What are some issues that you think, the LGBTQ community and the, I guess, that, we all stand together on, that we aren't standing together on?
One of the things, one of the issues that I see that are barriers is religion. Yeah, that plays a big part in a lot of our embedded beliefs. How people tend to accept or tolerate or not understand the LGBTQ community. You have the stereotypes, the media portrayal on the community, what you see in mainstream as to people and how we actually live our lives is no different than how anyone else lives their lives. There's no difference, none whatsoever, other than being in a same gender relationship. We have to understand that intersectionally, we're all connected. We all have the same barriers, like when women of color, you know, our gender identity. Even a lot of people are beginning to call themselves queer now with their gender expression. One person that come to mind would be Janelle Monáe. She's queer, but that does not mean that she's gay just because she's queer. So I think there's a lack of education all around as to the changing of our world and the spaces that people want to create for themselves and to be themselves. And people traditionally want to interject their beliefs into how you should frame your life and how you should live your life, and when they really shouldn't. And so we often come in and we impose our will on people, and we use our position of power and our position of privilege, and not understanding how it affects people on down the road. And in the same time, we want equality as a black person, but we are also part of the oppressive system that exists in our community, with a lot of stigma and that we inflict upon other people as a people of oppression. I hope, did that make sense? Did that answer your question? Hi, Mildred, how are you?
Yeah.
So, it did? Yeah, so, like I said earlier, in the intersectional, that's just a word I think people just toss it around right now. And do you really understand like what that word means and how it works in our daily life? So, you know, the intersectional, it helps us understand the reality of systems of subordination and power, high powers, discrimination going forward in our life, and that, like, you know, sexism, racism, heterosexism, ableism. These things are not separate in how we all operate in our world. So as a lesbian, a black woman that happens to identify as a lesbian, it's important that people understand that our issues are not singular issues. Our issues, our struggles are all the same, and that we cannot continue to operate in the way that we do without welcoming everybody into the table. You have to question yourself and when you're out with your friends, and why do your certain group of friends look a certain way, and why do we automatically separate ourselves from people that we're uncomfortable with, and people that we tend to not want to get to know. What stems this belief, and what stems this conversation when you're out with your girlfriends and you see a couple walk in who happen to be same gender and they're having a public display of affection moment? What triggers you to go into your yup their yum? What happens right then, and why does this happen? So these are things that we have to put out front to begin to ask this question, because if you're with your husband, you enjoy that privilege. And I'm with my wife, we're legally married, our privilege is forbidden. But not knowing that we're a married couple, and even if we were dating, but it's things that are in place, barriers that are in place that prohibit this for me, even though that same gender couples are legally allowed to marry now. There's still things that in our society we're still trying to break the walls down to gain just a space or a footing of just to exist, or equality, or even to exercise our freedom, in that regard. It's still frowned upon, it's still looked upon. Our churches are still not welcoming to the LGBTQ community. They still have a religious doctrine of oppressive religion type dogma that they preach and teach in the churches, in spite of the evolution of understanding of religion and Bible and all of these scriptures and how these things work and play in our daily life.
I got a question.
Okay.
What are the best ways we can act as allies and supporters in the community to make it more equitable for Black people in the LGBT community? Like, what are some of the things that we can do to hold our folks in the community accountable? And we want to make sure we do it in a culturally sensitive and relevant way. And so can you talk to us how we could be allies?
Yes. Did everyone hear the question? If you heard the question, if not, you can. Who said that? So, we have to stop being hypocrites, Londa.
Mm-hmm.
We have to stop being hypocrites. And what I mean by that is we hold people outside of our race to a very high standard. We charge them with using their privilege. We charge them with being insensitive to our racial issues and our racial plight, but at the same time, we in turn, we do it to other people. Mm-hmm. And we have to also learn to come into these particular spaces, or allow the LGBTQ community to come into these particular spaces. There have been plenty of times where I've been in a room with women, and Black women in particular, in meetings or anything like that, and for some reason, somehow it always come out that I'm gay. And you can automatically sense the change of the energy. It seems that the homophobia is really rampant in the Black community, and we don't talk about it a lot. Or it's often referenced as a they or them or those, and in actuality, homosexuality is very, very much a part of our lives, and we all have that. I believe we all have that gray area where we operate in, and it's just having a better understanding and understanding the dynamics of other people, and allowing them to exist and coexist among us as a group. And that goes beyond just the LGBTQ community. That goes for the poor. Mm-hmm. That goes for the homeless. That goes for people that are stricken with AIDS and HIV. It's the stigma that goes, along with those things that keep people from seeking treatment, people from coming out of the closet. Shaming. That's a big. You see an effeminate boy, and in your family, and you quickly go into a shaming mode with him. And fortunately, we have some very, very forefront TV series that are out now. For instance, Queen Sugar. She's tackling some of the issues that we face in our community of masculinity, the patriarchal system that's in place, and how all these things work intersectionally, interchangeably, in and out of our lives every day. And some people really are unconscious about why they do what they do, and they never challenge their thought thinking or their thought pattern, or where they even got their belief from.
Right.
And you have other shows that are out front, for instance, Greenleaf.
Mm-hmm. I love that show.
Right, and they're tackling the church and the things that go on in the church. So, but Empire came and they did it with Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
So, but why do it have to take the TV or to put this psychological blueprint for how we're going to fashion ourselves when we deal with our friends and our family members? Because I can undoubtedly guarantee you that everybody in this world have gay members in their family.
Mm-hmm.
You just might choose to ignore it, but that they're there, whether they admit it or not. We all have, it's just the fabric and the fiber of our community. And it's been around since mankind, since the beginning of time. And even though our history has been changed, our history has been tainted, we have to begin to start challenging things that's been told to us and challenging what we know and what we don't know. Because what I do know is that the truth does change.
Mm-hmm.
The truth changes. The truth changes, and it's been shown throughout history how much the truth changes.
Awesome. Thank you.
So
I have a question.
Okay.
So I have a question on Gwen. A lot of what I hear people are saying, or what I've heard throughout my life, is that people think that it's a myth that people are born gay. What are your views on that?
Well, in the gay community, we have this saying in the gay community. It says, you're either born, you're introduced, or you're recruited. So that is very possible that people are born. Some people are not born gay. Mm-hmm. I believe some people are introduced to homosexuality. I also know that some people are recruited into homosexuality, sometimes willingly and sometimes unwillingly. So you have those elements there that it does happen. Everybody is not born gay. No, they're not. No, they're not. Some people are born gay.
Great. So another question I would have would be, what would be your advice to a parent when a daughter or a son entrusts within them and asks them, or comes out of the closet and says that they feel they have homosexual feelings? What advice would you give to a parent?
Wow, it's so funny that you asked me that question. Actually, I'll just share a little story real quick. I remember coming out to my parents. I was 19 at the time when I came out to my parents. And I thought it would have been easy because I had a transgender sister. Well, we didn't know that my brother was transgender at the time because that wasn't a name invented yet. So, but my brother dressed as a woman, lived his life as a woman, and now we know that he was a transgender. Now that we know, through education and better understanding of sexuality, because he died in 1992. This term wasn't even used then. They just used to call you a sissy. So, and I remember coming out to my parents, and my mother was devastated, my father was devastated, and we had a big battle, we had a big fight, and I just couldn't understand, because I was like, well, look at my brother. And my mother thought that my brother had some influence on my sexuality, and I was like, nah, because I didn't tell him. So no, none of that took place. And first thing that she wanted to know was it her fault? Was it her fault? And my dad, he just sat there and he just looked, and the only thing he said to me was, whatever you do, just be a woman. That's what he said. Because I used to be very, very masculine. I was a tomboy. So I couldn't understand why my mother was upset. I couldn't understand the space, and we fought because my mother didn't approve of my friends. She wouldn't let anybody come over. So then that went on for about 10 years until they kind of finally realized I wasn't going to change. They thought it was a phase for the simple fact I've always dated boys, and I had a son. So to them, that was the prerequisites that I was a woman, being a mother, becoming a mother. And as God would have it, my son, when my son came out to me as being gay, I was upset. And I was devastated. And his response was, but you're gay. And he couldn't understand why I was upset with him. And I was upset with him because the ideal that I had for him, it went out the window. I imagine having grandkids. I imagine him living this heterosexual life and going off, because same thing, he dated girls all through high school and had girlfriends, and I never saw this coming. But what actually happened for me as a mother, it helped me understand the pain that my mother went through. Because now I have a child, and also I answered this question, did I have anything to do with it? Because I thought that my lifestyle, that's what the word we used to use, was something that he gravitated toward. But he assured me that no, and this is something that he's been struggling with since he was a child. What happened as a parent, I was put in the shoes of my mother. And I had to understand that as a parent, we often have this life that we see for our child. We have this image of how we want them to be. Like we're vicariously living through them. And we have to allow them the opportunity to process that child that I thought I had is not the child that I have. And the things that I wanted for them, I might not ever see it come to pass. But in the interim, I have to still love them because this is my child. And I can't throw them away. You can't wash it off. They try conversion therapy. They've done all these things to kids that come out. And do you know that a child that's rejected from the parent that's gay has a very high rate of suicide. Very high rate of suicide. So as a parent, I think you have to allow your time to process what's going on. And you have to also not allow guilt to overtake you into some form of fashion that you've done something wrong, or that there's something wrong with your child. I can assure you there's nothing wrong with your child. So, and it was mostly for me was grappling with my own projections about what I saw, and I knew that the life that he was about to enter was going to be hard, because you have now 3 things against you. He's black, he's a man, and he's gay. And I knew it was going to be hard because of the things that I had to deal with. But fortunately, now, fast forward, here we are, some 20 years later, he's fine. He's fine. So that was a great question. You took me down memory lane.
Thank you, Gwen. I guess another question that I have, because again, is it possible for a person to go from, we see people all the time saying in social media, oh, I've been delivered, to go from gay to being straight?
Remember when you asked me the question and I said that you asked me, are people born gay? And I said yes. And you asked me, I told you that also people are introduced to homosexuality, and also people are recruited into homosexuality. So I think that one of the heartfelt issues that I see is that for a person to have to suppress their sexuality, especially to the point that under religion that they feel that they have to opt into a system of normalcy. And what is normal? What is normal? And I know of countless examples, and I have I can't even count the amount of friends on my hands that have tried to walk away from who they are and enter into being heterosexual, and it didn't work. It didn't work because that creates the onset of what that popular word y'all used to call guys being on the down low. Mm-hmm. And the urge and the gravitational pull to who you really are and what you're really attracted to is very powerful. And I think that will create the conflict for confusion and deception. And also, people don't allow space for people to be bisexual. They misunderstand what being bisexual is. And being bisexual means that you have the capability of being attracted to both sexes. And now we have other terms called pansexual. You have other terms.
I ain't heard
What's
that? Yeah, I ain't heard that one.
So, pansexuality is that the person is mostly attracted to the energy of the person.
Oh.
And for instance, it doesn't matter what's between your legs. What matters is what's the energy and the person that they're attracted to. So it means that they can date a man, a woman, a transgender man, a transgender woman, a genderqueer person, bisexual person, everything that's there. It doesn't mean that they go in and out of these relationships in the day and they just sit up and go, what am I gonna do today? It doesn't mean that. It just means that that's how they are. You have people that say they're gender fluid. For instance, Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, he says he's gender fluid. Fatty White says he's gender fluid. The millennials. It means that if he want to wear fingernails and paint his nails today and paint his toes and put on a skirt, he'll put on a skirt, but he still like women. And the fluidity is that he's not confined to what society say gender is. Like women wear dresses, men wear pants, girls play with pink and room pink and boys room blue. That goes away, and people are fighting against that normal, and they're denormalizing what normal is. Those things. So that's like a slippery slope because I think it kind of boils down to a personal choice. And I believe, just me personally, that for somebody to be under that extreme influence, it has a lot of external influence from a family member, some type of deeply held religious belief that they feel like that they have to obligate and conform to if they go into that measure there. That's what I believe.
Nice, dope.
Great question.
That's dope. Thanks, Gwen. Wow.
So, today I just kind of want to, decode some of these theories that we have about, about our society that we live in, because it tries to put everything in a bowl or a box or make things predictable. And when things become unpredictable or things become uncomfortable for us, then that creates a dilemma. That creates a measure of uncertainty. And what we have to know that in living in that it's okay. Being uncomfortable is okay. Being uncertain is okay. And that still does not make things wrong. And also, because the majority agree with something does not make it right.
Amen to that.
It does not make it right just because the majority agree with it. And I mean, we can go through countless examples in history to tell you that because the majority agree with something does not make it right. It took us 400 years to get out of slavery because the majority said it was right. It does not make it right. And then that was still in the last 100 years fighting against other systemic things that's an offspring of slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, our poverty that we're fighting, our policies that we're fighting. So these things does not make it right, and you all know that. So what I want you to do is when we leave today, and you're in your space with your girlfriends, and you're talking, and you look around, and you see that everybody in your circle, all of you are like, ask yourself why. Why? why you know we tend to, you know, what's comfortable and what's normal to us, that's what we gravitate to. And when you have people that are not educated about issues and want to invoke their belief, you know, on a group or a circle, or influence you to think a certain way about a certain group of people, you also have to ask yourself why. And I want you to also not become part of that normal or that rule, and remember that you have to understand, as a person or a people of color of oppression, we have to stop oppressing other people. And I believe that until we stop oppressing other people, that we will not get the equality that we're seeking. Because reciprocity is always going to show back up in your space to remind you of how you treated somebody else. When you're gaining for, you want pro rights, you want pro equality, you want black, you discriminate against other people. It just doesn't work. It's not going to work. And I don't believe that we're going to get what we're asking God to do for us until we clean up ourselves and we clean up our mess.
Wow.
Word.
So we want to use our time for questions, the last few minutes, or where are we with time?
Wrap it up.
Okay. So we can have parting questions if anybody have any parting questions. And I really enjoyed talking to y'all today. Having this conversation, and believe it or not, I've never had this conversation before.
This is a Sister Reach exclusive.
Not in this setting. So
Y'all, we got an exclusive here on the webinar. An exclusive. Like only Sister Reach can do.
Yeah.
We bring the hard, the core, the topics that people just, hey, we bring it intentionally.
So I got this from Audre Lorde, and I love Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde said that when we don't challenge our stories, we tend to reproduce the systems because they are the same thing that got us where we are. And race and gender play a role in our system. So we have to challenge things and not reproduce. And we like to be comfortable. We like moving up. We like power. We like position. But at the same time, we also have to understand that when we're blessed and given these things, a lot of responsibility comes with it. And we can't reproduce a system that we broke free to get out of, and then in return kick the ladder down and then start oppressing people that's coming behind us trying to gain that same footing that we have. And that's just all I want my sisters to take away today. We have to stop oppressing our other sisters just because we're different. And being different does not have anything to do with us not being equal.
So I would like to say thank you, Gwen, on the behalf of Sister Reach for coming in and speaking on this topic for us today. It has been informational and informative. But give me just one moment. I think we've been live on our Facebook page, and we have a couple of questions that, if you have time, we'd like to entertain those.
Hi, Jasmine. Okay, Jasmine's question is, what models have you seen with black folk of faith working with black LGBTQ people that have been successful in addressing homophobia and transphobia in Memphis? Okay, I'll read it one more time. So what models have you seen with black folk of faith working with black LGBTQ people that have been successful in addressing homophobia and transphobia in Memphis?
Ooh, you dropped the bomb when you said Memphis. I was getting ready to start talking about my experience when I traveled around the country. Memphis is a tough cookie here, but believe it or not, we do have some inclusive ministries, ministers that are out front and will walk with the LGBTQ community. I named two that I know of personally. Earl Fisher, Earl Fisher does it. Dr. Rosalind Nichols, she does it. Actually, I am a member of Cathedral Praise Church in Memphis. We are, I believe, the first openly church where our pastor is gay. He's openly gay. So in Memphis, Tennessee. So we've been 5 years. They said we wouldn't make it 2, but it's 5 years now. And believe it or not, I think it would take our leaders, our city council leaders, our county commissioner leaders, to have, when they have these type of mayor breakfasts, or when they have all of the pastors there, they have to make sure that they create space for people of same gender loving that are also ministers. There's a large coalition of gay ministers in this city. Some of them are independent, and at my church, we have I'm ordained. So, and that we have the same walk with God that they do. The God that I serve is a God of love, and that welcome us all into the kingdom of heaven. It says it, and I believe it. And I strive to do God's work and God's will every day. So it's not how it is in other cities, but remember, we're in the Bible Belt. But I would say that Memphis is making progress, and the community is transforming, because people are refusing to hide now. People are coming out and they're walking and enjoying their liberty, the liberty of being married now. That changed a lot when now that you can legally marry, people that you've been lifetime partners with. So I think that opened up a door for the conversation.
Well, thank you, Jasmine Burnett, via Facebook for that question. Again, Gwen, we would like to extend our sincere thank you. We appreciate you coming and speaking on this subject. We're going to be having these conversations and these lunch and learns every month. They're going to be intentional, because we understand that a lot of people work, and it's easy to just kind of dial in, and we want to be able to reach people wherever they are, whether it's on a lunch, whether it's out in the community. We want to take the word and the education and the information to people exactly where they are, and not having them always have to come to us and us taking it to them. So if you guys, I appreciate all of you who have joined in on the call. This has been a very successful call. Thank you to those who've asked questions. Thank you to my counterparts who are always supporting and rah-rahing for me out front, believing in me when, hey, sometimes it's a little shaky. But on next month, we will have the one and only Terry Lee Johnson, the doula of Birthrights, who will be out talking about her work and what she's doing, and how doulas are available, and what some of our issues are as it relates to that framework. So join us next month, October the 18th, at the same time, same place. We'll get this PR out to you, and this status updates up to you on how to join us. Again, thank you so much, and believe Black women, love Sister Each. Have a good day, you guys.
I guess I was already on. I was like, I just come in.